What is going on, everyone? It is Foul Play here, and we're back again playing another Modern League. So we're going to continue with Bant Bogles here today. Has the power of Force Negation, the power that we need to go up against the big bad guys like Khan the Great Creator, Engineered Explosives, Liliana of the Veil, and all the rest. It can also come in pretty handy in the Prowess matchup if they assemble multiple creatures and you just counter Metamorphose or something like that. Actually destroys a lot of their tempo, and then your life gain becomes a lot more significant as well. We will be running 4 Force Negation. Just note that 2 are foil and 2 are non-foil, so don't worry about that one. So I was running 3 Staggering Insight for a while there, but I've actually upped it to 4 for today's league. I think 4 is the correct number. So I had 2 Aqueous Form and 1 Arcane Flight in the deck, so just remove the 1 of Arcane Flight. So Aqueous Form is an interesting one. It gives unblockable, and when you attack, you get to scry 1. So the unblockable, obviously kind of important against these hate bear style decks here, which put up flying blockers, which also give their flying blockers protection from whatever color your creature is with the likes of Giver of Runes. And then it can be pretty hard to attack in those situations without being able to push the damage through. So yeah, ways to push damage: the Aqueous Form, also the Rancor here, nothing new there, +2 on Trample on this one. Now we do have 10 hexproof creatures in this deck and 1 of Dryad Arbor as well. So obviously the usual culprits of Glade Cover Scout and Slippery Bogle, and we've got the 2 of Invisible Stalkers in here. Dryad Arbor is like less to go in on as a creature and more to play around an edict effect like Oath of Kaya. Sorry, Kaya's Guile. I always get the name of that card wrong. It's a silly card in any case. So to help support the Dryad Arbor there, we have got 7 fetch lands between Misty Rainforest and Windswept Heath, and a variety of shock lands between Hallowed Fountain at 2, Breeding Pool at 1, and Temple Garden at 1. Now I've got the Hallowed Fountain at 2 because double white and double blue by turn 3 is kind of important for A, Daybreak Coronet, and B, Force of Negation. And we don't really need double green at any real point in the vast majority of games. Occasionally there's an exception, like if your opponent removes your creature and you've got multiple Rancors, but that's very rare. Now note, I am running 2 basic plains and 1 basic island. It was previously, I had a forest in there instead of the second plains, but recently I removed that because I really did not like the forest after fairly extensive playtesting. So yeah, other than that, usual culprits of Ethereal Armor at 4, Hyena Umber at 4, Daybreak at 4, and the new arrivals of Curious Obsession, which is 1/1, deal damage to a player, draw a card, and Staggering Insight, 1/1 lifelink, deal damage to a player, draw a card. Curious Obsession also with the downside: if you don't attack with a creature, it falls off. It doesn't have to be the creature that is enchanted, it just has to be any creature. Yeah, so essentially it can be pretty powerful, particularly if you get these draw effects happening early. But the point where they fall down is if you've got like a decisive turn with your core Spirit Dancer, where you can have 1 aura on the battlefield and like a 1 aura in hand, a core Spirit Dancer on the battlefield, and whether or not you're enchanting the Spirit Dancer or a different creature or hexproof one, it doesn't really matter. You keep drawing cards as a cast trigger. The fact this is a deal damage trigger and it's like a max of 1 a turn per card. If you have 2 Curious Obsessions on your creature, you draw 2 cards. Long as you're dealing damage to that player. But yeah, it's not necessarily as good as having Spirit Dancer, but I think Spirit Dancer's in a pretty weak place at the moment personally. Sideboard wise, we got Deafening Silence in here for Storm and Prowess. We got Path to Exile in here for Shadow decks and other creature decks like Prowess as well. Deicide in here pretty exclusively for Heliod combo. Seal of Primordium and Force of Negation in here for Artifact Enchantment decks, mostly ones that run Ensnaring Bridge. We've got Luris, the Dream Den, as a companion, which returns cards from your graveyard with CMC of 2 or less, or converted mana value of 2 or less. So we can get the Seal of Primordium back with it. We've also got 2 Soul Guide Lanterns in here as Graveyard Hate, 2 Stubborn Denial as extra counter magic, and 1 of Torpor Orb for against Hate Bears. That's the deck, guys. We're going to jump into a league and get it happening. Alright, so here we are for match number 1 versus Dark Keeper, and we won the die roll. Means we get to be on the play. A Dried Arbor hand is not a very strong one though. I'm going to mulligan. I like all the other auras in my hand. It's a shame. This is pretty aura light. I think we mulligan to something slightly more aggressive. And yeah, we're just getting done like this right now. I mean, it's possible we keep the first hand and get there, but I think it's pretty unlikely in most games. Opponent has actually mulliganed to 6, so I think we go down to 4. I don't think I'm in the business of a Dried Arbor hand. Alright, we'll keep this one. So now we get to throw away some lands, and I think keeping just generally Mana Confluence is probably going to be pretty solid. And we can keep either a land or a Force of Negation here. I think I'm just going to keep the Force of Negation. I could keep a hand which deals less damage to me if I know that my opponent's on Burn or Prowess or something. But we don't have that information. It's a Triome deck, so Force of Negation might actually come in handy. And as opposed to our 6, I definitely favor having a Curious Obsession here and getting our card draw online early. Excellent, excellent. While they're tapped out, we'll get this Ethereal Armor happening post-combat. Then we get a nice looking attack next turn. So it looks like the Bring to Light Scapeshift deck. With Omnath and all its friends. In case say do a Teferi Time Raveler here, I guess we can hold up Force of Negation. We shouldn't get too punished by not putting our companion to hand here. Jeez, it's mono draw land. What's going on? Before blockers, I'm going to fetch, just get a basic, and just play around, just try and thin my library so I don't get, super flooded here. Oh well, we're not hitting anything of note, really. Not this time. My opponent's literally not cast a spell this game, either. If we had, a faster Bogles hand, he'd already be dead. Omnath. There he is. A baby could have predicted that and lure us to hand. Cool. So that's obviously going to start getting a fair bit of life happening shortly. Jesus, our draws have been awful. Freaking shocking, man. Alright, lure us to hand, scout on the field, Force of Negation up. Opponent obviously gets to gain a lot of life if they want to. Just noticed I've had my screen dragged down, or my border dragged up there. We'll fix that one. Sorry about that, guys. I don't really care about Explorer. I care about Scapeshift. They can have their Explore. Trying to get some life, get some mana. He hits another land, he deals some damage to us as well. Dryad of Elysian Grove, amazing. Well, we're still looking to counter that Scapeshift, and then I guess we just need to hit a good aura off the top like a Daybreak Coronet, and we might be in with an okay spot here. Fair bit of damage to face. Double fetch puts us to 1 and a lightning bolt, man. Jesus. Well, I guess we counter the lightning bolt because we're dead if we don't. Feel a little hard done by here because, like, if we actually just draw any auras, our opponent's already dead. We have the ethereal armor, which was obviously a good draw. And here's the scape shift. Like, whatever, doesn't matter. But yeah, like, Daybreak. Next card to just really drive home. Drive home us being upset, right? Alright, so cards that do stuff, all of them. Deafening Silence is actually reasonable as well, and so is Stubborn Denial. We saw then that, like, Force and Negation wasn't that good. I could see myself maybe cutting 2 Force if we're bringing in the Stubborn Denial. There's potential for our opponent to have counters during our turn, to have their own Force of Vigors during their turn, things like that. So Stubborn Denial, protect your auras, can be a very good line. We want like some amount of removal. I think probably the 3 path is enough. The Dayside's probably going overboard. I think also the Force of Vigors are going overboard. I'm not sure if I like the Seal of Primordium or not. Probably not. Okay, -1 Stalker. I wouldn't really want to go much lower than that. Aqueous Form is also probably not in the best spot. 3 cards left. This is rough. I do think Deafening Silence has a place, maybe as a one-of, given how much we're struggling at the moment to trim. Let's remove a Dried Arbor, I think. Maybe not. Remove Seal. Maybe just a Curious Obsession. I think I like Staggering Insight for its life gain. Alright, let's go with that. See if we can hit something a little less garbage. That's not it. This is fine as long as our opponent does not have interaction. So we'll keep this bottom. I think it's Hallowed Fountain. Yeah, so if we have Force of Vigors, we can keep Dried Arbor in hand, but because we don't have Force of Vigor, it's in the sideboard. We're going to bottom the Hallowed Fountain here. Dried Arbor is a green creature. It does count as a green creature in your hand. It can be pitched to Force and Negation. And it can also do that through a Blood Moon because Blood Moon does not change color typing. All lands are colorless. Unless you're talking about like a Manland, which states that it has color, i.e. Dried Arbor, Shambling Vent, Mutavault, whatever else. Did your opponent accidentally skip through their turn, or did they accidentally keep a no lander and not get there? Well, we're gonna just annoy him by playing Dryad Arbor after he discards the Lightning Bolt. Here comes a Triome. And we could play into like a pretty spicy Force of Vigor here. I don't know if their deck has enough green to support it, so I think we're probably pretty safe. And it concedes. Alright, so I mean if we actually curve out, our opponent completely missing their turn 1 obviously helped us a lot, right? Since we're on the draw, I think I like Force Negation more. We can also remove a land. Because like Force Negation on the draw helps protect against engineered explosives, which could be pretty detrimental for us. I think maybe Deafening Silence is just a little bit too weak as well. And let's bring in the Stubborn Denial instead. Because like they can still bring to light for a creature and cast it and all of that. Cool. Obviously we're throwing. Obviously we're throwing again. Alright, keep. Bottom these, keep these. But my opponent does not have... I should have played the Hallowed Fountain there. But my opponent does not have the Mystical Dispute. Good old Triome lands. They're pretty powerful. You better watch out or they'll get you. I think I'm gonna shock in this Hallowed Fountain, pretend I have something good as a second aura. It probably would be a better sell if I didn't take so long to think about it, right? If I just like shock, Ethereal Armor attack. There's a high likelihood my opponent's gonna play Dryad of Lycian Grove next turn. And there's a high chance that he has interaction via either counter magic or removal. There is a decent amount of enchantment shuffle going around because of Heliod. And there's a 1-mana green card which shuffles an enchantment into the library. I don't really want to lose my Force and Staggering Insight there. So if he taps out for a Dryad of Lycian Grove here, we can then Staggering Insight pretty freely. Just holding up interaction here. Do you have anything? Perhaps not. Abrupt Decay, something of that notion. No, we just get to draw a card. Alright, we got Force of Negation live. We drew a blue card. Omnath, sure. Daybreak or Ethereal would be good. It would threaten lethal. We don't get that. Can still attack, draw a card, gain some life. Yes, we should play the Misty Rainforest pre-combat. I think in this spot will lure us to hand. We do have like a little bit of time here. Maybe it's best to actually cast the Invisible Stalker then, but then we don't have Force of Negation up and not really happy about that. Right, so serving in for 4 damage, gaining a little bit of life. He's going to need another blocker because 1 aura and he's dead. Omnath, okay. Guess it replaces itself, so it's not so bad. This card is like way too easy to get to since the Triomes got printed. Well, we're slowly getting there. You could fetch land, gain 4 life, and then crack fetch land and gain another 4 life during our turn, but he's just blocking. Interesting. So here we can cast Lurrus, hold up both Force of Negation and Stubborn now, so I think that's fine. And I guess they can go for a Lightning Bolt here if they want. I mean, what's in the graveyard, honestly? It's like good against the chump blocker. Is this your 3rd Omnath? I mean, okay. I like memes as well. I guess when you spend literally all game not playing a single spell and you just have triple Omnath in hand, sounds about right. We're still in like a very strong position here though. Nice. Alright, so what I think we do is we play the Invisible Stalker here, pass the turn, hold up both Stubborn Denial and Force of Negation, and if we want to play around Mana Leak, we can. Alright. Stubby D. I think we just hardcast this one. Cool. Now my opponent is sort of incentivized not to attack unless he has a land to gain life with. And we're going to guaranteed gain some life, draw a card off Invisible Stalker, guaranteed gain some life off Bogle. But yeah, at least we're getting 2 damage in. We're slowly chipping down that clock. He's only got 1 Omnath left in the deck. Rancor, not bad. Alright, lethal on board. With an Explore. We're on 34 life as well. So he's currently got 6 lands. His Escape Shift's not going to be good enough. We win match number 1. Okay. Well, yeah, I think like all those games, in my opinion, it was not the greatest showing from either deck. But I guess we ended up getting there in the end with some pretty decisive counter magic for the Teferi. I don't know how much it did against the Teferi. It felt like he was going to Teferi and then combo off, but maybe not. Doesn't seem like he had a whole lot going on. But thank you all so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to let me know down below. Outside of that, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.